For Tuesday, December the 18th at this point in time. Um, we will start our meeting tonight as we typically do with an invocation and pledge of allegiance. Our invocation will be led by Dr. Walter Glover, and I'll ask him to come forward to the podium here, and our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by two of our 4-H students, and I'll ask them to come up and stand behind Dr. Glover. So would you please stand as you are able for the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance?
Thank you. Shall we pray? Our Father and our God, the God of heaven and the God of earth, into thy presence we come with grateful hearts. We thank you for this day and all of its beauty. We thank you for the gathering of the citizens of this community. We pray your blessings upon this meeting. Let whatever is said or done be to thine glory and honor. Forgive us of our sins. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Dr. Glover, we want to say thank you very much for being with us. I know your schedule is quite busy. Dr. Glover holds a Bachelor of Theology, Master of Divinity, Doctor of Religious Education, Doctor of Divinity, and Honorary Doctorate of Laws degrees. But I'm afraid I got a typographical error here, Dr. Glover. This says that you've been the lead pastor there at Greater Zion Hill for 42 years. Surely that means 24 years. 43 years. That's marvelous. What a record of service to Greater Zion Hill and to this community at large, and we appreciate you making time to come be with us tonight. Thank you very much, sir. And our Pledge of Allegiance, led by two of our 4-H students, would you please stand for me when I call your name? Jordan Farr. Jordan Farr is a 12th grade student at the Academy for Classical Education, better known as the ACE Academy. Jordan currently serving as the Bibb County 4-H president. Jordan is hoping to attend University of Georgia or Armstrong Atlantic University in the fall after she graduates from high school in May. Jordan competed on the Bibb County land judging team and placed 9th in the state. She also competes at District Project Achievement and will be presenting a speech about the invasive species this March. She hopes to place first there at the district so she can move on to the state. Jordan's active in a church and loves volunteering and helping others. Cambria Foster. Cambria, would you please stand for? Cambria is a 7th grader at Miller Magnet School. Cambria has been in the dancing program at Miller since starting middle school. She was honored as a distinguished reader last year for reading at a 12th grade level. Cambria is on the AB honor roll, and she's vice president of the youth council at Center Baptist Church. She's been in 4-H since elementary school. She's also a member of FBLA. She was inducted into the National Beta Club in the 6th grade. Her hobbies include reading, dance, and music. And in this day and age, when we hear so much about bad youth and acting up youth, isn't it great to have two such fine examples of wonderful young people who are leading and participating in the 4-H program and in the community at large? Y'all help me give a warm welcome to them and urge them to continue that good work. We appreciate all of you being here. Next item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes. We have a pre-commission meeting that was held on the 4th and our regular commission meeting that was held on December 4th. Those minutes have been prepared and distributed. If there are any corrections or additions, I'll hear those at this time. Otherwise, I've got a motion from Commissioner Schlesinger to approve, second by Commissioner Shepard. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of those two sets of minutes signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the minutes of those two meetings are approved. Next, we have a special presentation, and I really think this is almost like a Christmas present to the community, to be perfectly honest. I'd like to call on Police Chief Stephen Lynn of the Perry Police Department to come up to the podium and make a special presentation to us.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. I appreciate y'all having me here today. I'm not here as the Police Chief of Perry today. I'm here as representative of the Georgia Chiefs Association. The Executive Director, Frank Rotundo, asked me if I would take time to make a couple of presentations to the Sheriff's Department today, recognizing the importance of what they've accomplished. And before I do that, if you will, let me just give you a little background on the certification process and the history of it, but I'll be brief.
Please do.
I'm not going to
Yes,
talk for a half hour. Y'all probably have a hook, right? So back in 1990, they had this idea for putting together a best practices set of guidelines, for a better way of putting it. Worked on it for 6 years in coordination with the Georgia Municipal Association, the ACCG, the Department of Community Affairs, the Sheriff's Association, the Chiefs Association, and came up with, we're now on, I believe, Standard 5, which has 129 standards that are best practices for law enforcement agencies. So the agency's tasked with writing policy to conform to the guidelines of those standards. But it's not all about writing policy, because what you're really tasked with is following that policy and documenting what you do. And the fact that we're here tonight with a recertification means that not only the initial 3 years, but the 3 years that followed that, as having been assessed by qualified assessors, Bibb County Sheriff's Department has both written the required policies and are in compliance with them. And why is that important? Like I said, this is considered best practices. It helps limit your liability exposure. It gives you a playbook, if you will, so that you have a standardized response wherever possible. Some of the carriers like GMA gives a discount for cities that are part of this program. And we've got over 650 law enforcement agencies in the state of Georgia, and 128 agencies have achieved the certification. So it's not that widespread, and we've been in existence now for 22 years. As a matter of fact, as directly related to the Bibb County Sheriff's Department, there's 22 agencies out of 159 Sheriff's Departments that have achieved this certification. So it's really noteworthy that your Sheriff's Office has taken the initiative and put the resources into it, and then trained everybody to it, and has been certified to be in compliance. And that's why we're here tonight, is the compliance piece. Because every 3 years you have to go and be recertified. It's not just a once and done kind of thing. You have to continue to show that you're following the plan. I'm about to have a recertification in my agency in April of next year, and we've been certified for a very long time. We were early adopters. My predecessors were. I wasn't there. But it's a really good program that pays dividends. It'll cause you to get sued less. It'll cause you to win more of the suits when you do get sued. But more importantly, it provides a template for the agency to follow to make sure that you're giving the best service possible to the citizens. And that's really what the bottom line is all about. So couple of quick presentations. With every program like this, there's a certification officer, and that's the person who kind of does the heavy lifting, as in they're responsible for gathering the proofs and getting the policies written, even though they may not write them themselves, they'll form them out, they get them back, check them for compliance. It's really an agency-wide endeavor, but the certification officer name is on the bottom line, if you will, right above the sheriff's, I guess, or right below it. And so for the purpose of this, we need to recognize Lieutenant Anthony Hubbard. So Lieutenant Hubbard, if you and Sheriff Davis would come forward. So let me just read from this. This is a certificate of appreciation from the Georgia Association of Chiefs of Police to Lieutenant Anthony Hubbard as an expression of gratitude for your dedication and efforts to the State of Georgia Law Enforcement Certification Program as a certification manager. Now, as a certification manager, not only did he have to go through training and do all the stuff to put the program together, but he also had to go serve as an assessor at other agencies to see their best practices. And I mean, it's a two-way street. You learn every time you go to one. I used to be a certification manager in another lifetime. So, Lieutenant Hubbard. And Mayor Rickard, would you join us down here? Join the sheriff? So this next presentation is the actual recertification, which only means that you're good through October 2021, but the work for recertification begins tomorrow. Because it's an everyday thing. So State of Georgia Law Enforcement Certification, be it hereby known that the Bibb County Sheriff's Office has fully demonstrated, boy, the print's little here. Excuse me just a minute, I need more light. Their commitment to law enforcement excellence by meeting all applicable standards as outlined by the State of Georgia Law Enforcement Certification Program. Therefore, upon consideration of the joint recommendation of the Joint Review Committee of the State of Georgia Law Enforcement Certification Program, this agency is hereby recognized as a certified law enforcement agency for the period of November 1, 2018 through October 31, 2021, and it's signed by a number of people, I guess the most important of which is Nathan Deal, Governor. So.
Yeah. Thank you. Let me just take a minute and say that as mayor of Macon-Bibb County, how proud I am to have the sheriff's office to be recertified in accordance with the Law Enforcement Foundation of Georgia. I'm proud of you, Sheriff. Congratulations. And Lieutenant Hubbard, thank you, sir, for all of the work I know you did with the paperwork. But this is great, and this is a high honor and distinction. So congratulations to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you all, and it is these folks in uniform and plain clothes that help us keep this certification and help us achieve it. And we do this for the public that we serve. It shows that we have standards and that we have our professionalism and that we're going to be responsive to those that we serve. And so this is a great honor for our office, and thank you, Chief Lynn. Thank you.
As long as I'm down here, I'd like to do the next item of business in special presentations and ask Mr. Willie Frazier to come up and join me here at the podium, please. Mr. Frazier has been a regular attender at commission meetings and committee meetings for the past several months, if not longer than that. And we've heard from him firsthand about efforts that he has undertaken to kind of restore his neighborhood in Pleasant Hill and to take an initiative there and to kind of bring to our attention the plight of the area in Pleasant Hills and other areas that are in desperate need. But it's come to our attention, however, that Mr. Frazier has such a busy schedule, he needs to be able to get around quicker from meeting to meeting if he's to keep up with his agenda. So I'm been asked on behalf of Kids You'll Love to make a special presentation to Mr. Willie Frazier at this point in time. And Commissioner Allen could not be here tonight, but wanted me to express the admiration of Kids You'll Love and the contributors to Kids You'll Love of the efforts of an individual citizen, Mr. Willie Frazier. And to get you around from meeting to meeting, we have a special presentation here that we'd like to roll down the aisle here. So this way you can keep up with your busy meeting schedule. And we want you to be safe, sir, so there's a helmet in the bag on the handlebar. So ride it in good health, sir, and keep on keeping on.
Wow. Oh, my God, you're going to make me cry.
Well, we appreciate you, Mr. Frazier. Thank you for all that you do for us.
Thank you, too, man.
You're welcome.
Man, what can I say? I ain't been this overwhelmed in a long time. I love it. And what I want to say is, you know, I get up here and I talk a lot of times, but the reason why I talk is because I love this city. Like each and every one of you, commissioners, mayors, leaders, and even the people that show up time after time again. You know, even down to this day, this room should be full of people because we need to be concerned about this city. I know I look probably silly with all of the different colors and stuff that I usually wear, but I wore this for a reason, because I want you to see more than anything else that the biggest words on all of this is serve. I want to find a way to serve this community. Whether I serve it up there or whether I serve it out here, we're all in service to this community, and we all have what's necessary to make this community what it needs to be. You all have done a great job, a hard job, because it can't be easy every day what you go through every time you sit in those seats. And it can't be easy what you give, but when you turn around and you give love and you give honesty and you give caring and concern, that's what makes things happen in this city. And we need to pull together in all aspects and make that happen, because Macon is the greatest city in the world. And if I can do anything, I just want to volunteer. I want to be in service to this community to get it back to that place. You know, we had something recently that happened here in downtown where there was an assault and a murder. We haven't had anything downtown in so long. We got to find a way as we build this infrastructure. We got to turn around and build our community back, because one thing about it, I'm about preserving our community, and I'm about saving Maconites and saving our lives. We need to save our community, and we need to teach them on how to love one another and save our community. And thank y'all for this gift. This is so overwhelming. I don't know what else to say. I'm at a loss for words for the first time in my life. Thank you, Commissioner.
Well, I'm gonna give you 30 seconds. I'm gonna give you 30 seconds to collect your thoughts, because the next item on our agenda are public comments on agenda items, and we had one person to sign up tonight to make comments on agenda items, and it's none other than Mr. Willie Frazier. And Mr. Frazier wants to talk to us before we vote on item A on our agenda under old business tonight, and item C. I think item A is the $500,000 loan and home funds to assist over there at Tyndall Heights, and item C is the extension of the contract with the Land Bank Authority. So, Mr. Frazier, I'm going to recognize you now to make your comments on agenda items. Please, sir.
Sir, thank you,
Mayor.
Mayor.
You recognized for up to 5 minutes.
Thank you, sir. And I'm going to read each one of these. A resolution to authorize a loan in the amount of $500,000 to assist in the funds of finishing what it is, the housing over at Tyndall, at the former Tyndall Heights site. I think that's a great thing that they've placed over there and that they're doing, and the different phases. I was in a meeting recently and I heard about the 4 phases that they had coming. They already got 3 up and they're asking for funds. My thing is, because I care about our community so much and the funding and all of the different stuff is, I would ask that you please, with this phase 4, ask about, what the cost of that's gonna be. So that we'll know, so we can protect our finances here in Macon, and what it's gonna cost to build onto that, since they're already asking for $500,000 to do phase 3. Please make sure that we ask those things so that way we can protect Macon's finances and stay in cahoots and stay up on top of the things, so we don't have, despairing things that we go through in the commission like we did earlier this year. And I believe in trying to protect the community, so I just wanted to mention that. I'm not gonna get down on anybody or anything like that. Just let's make sure, because we got another phase, which is phase 4, that they want to do, and we got to assess the cost. So let's make sure we ask that ahead of time, so we could try to prepare for it. On this part C, with the Land Bank Authority, the only thing that I would say, for as the Land Bank Authority is concerned, is I heard in one of the meetings where most of the stuff is set up for blight. Me being in a position with Pleasant Hill of preserving historical sites and preserving things, I speak about the Land Bank Authority on an idea of preservation. It's all right to tear down things and replace things and stuff like that, but let's also look at other alternatives when it comes to blight, and when it comes to the perspective of clearing some areas and knocking down some things and stuff like that. Let's be careful of what we tear down, because in the long run it just might be more important than we think. Just keep that in mind. Thank you very much, Mayor, for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. We appreciate you being in. Appreciate your comments on that. And again, congratulations to you on your early Christmas present from Kids You'll Love. The next item on our agenda are reports from our standing committees. And the first report is from our Operations and Finance Committee, and that report will be given to us by Chairman Watkins. Chairman Watkins.
Sir. The Operations and Finance Committee met on December the 11th, 2018, and took the following action. The committee approved the following contract commitments: a loan amount in $500,000 in home funds to assist in the development of proposed low-income multifamily housing tax credit development on the Tyndall Heights site, an agreement with Schneider Electric Buildings America for the completion of a comprehensive investment-grade audit of energy and resource consumption and usage at the Macon-Bibb County-owned buildings, streetlight systems, and other facilities. We approved a contract extension with the Land Bank Authority, and we approved the following SPLOSH projects: a contract with Warren Associates for renovations of the Loris A. Briggs Community Center, and a contract with Travis Pruitt and Associates for Linwood Avenue Smart Project. This concludes the report of the Operations and Finance Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Watkins. Next committee report will be from the Economic and Community Development Committee, and that report will be given to us by Chairman Lucas. Chairman Lucas.
Thank you. The Economic and Community Development Committee met on December 11th, 2018, and took the following action. The committee approved the reappointment of Dr. Tom Ellington, to the Macon-Bibb County Land Bank Authority. We also approved and we recommend the appointment of Gary Bechtel to the Macon-Bibb County Land Bank Authority. This concludes the report of the Economic and Community Development Committee.
Thank you, Chairman Lucas. No report from Public Safety Committee, I understand. So that takes us to Facilities and Engineering Committee, and that report will be given to us by Chairman Jones. Chairman Jones.
Yes, sir. We had one item, one very important item, but the committee approved conducting an internal audit of the Animal Welfare Department. We've had tremendous overcrowding, which we often do, but seems to have escalated this year. So we had good discussion with the sheriff and some of his representatives, people that he works for him, and to address so this audit is to address the overcrowded conditions at our shelter, which consequently causes more animals being euthanized. Many of these, we've had a really great record whereby in the last couple of years only really no adoptable animals have been euthanized, and with the excessive number of animals coming in, we had to euthanize some adoptable animals, which we don't like. So this audit will show us a lot of things, and we hope it will be productive for both law enforcement and the animal shelter. That concludes the report.
Thank you, Chairman Jones. That concludes the committee reports. The next item on our agenda is our consent agenda, which are applications for alcohol licenses. There are two licenses under consideration tonight. There were three, but one has been withdrawn at the request of the permittee for future consideration. That was Metro Diner. But the other two that are under consideration are each accompanied by all of the required paperwork, which consist of the certification from the Business Development Services that the appropriate license fees have been paid, the certification from the Sheriff's Office that a background check of the applicant has been concluded satisfactorily, that the zoning compliance certificate is here from P&Z to say that the location complies with the zoning codes, and also a certification from the county engineer to say that all of the required distance separation requirements have been met and are appropriate for the location. And finally, the copy of the ad that ran in the Telegraph as part of this application process. So each of these two license applications is accompanied by that required certification and paperwork. The first is applicant is by A&S Macon, doing business as Dry Branch Food Mart, located at 5220 Jeffersonville Road, and that is for beer and wine package sales to go from that location. The second application is from Kayla, K-A-L-A, Kayla B.A. LLC, doing business as Growler USA, located at 1530 Mercer University Drive. That application there is already an existing alcohol license for beer and wine sales to be consumed on the premise at that location. This is an additional license application that would allow mixed drinks sales consumed on the premises at that location. After consideration, the Committee of the Whole recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the issuance of those two licenses as requested signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and those two licenses will be issued as requested. That takes us then to our old business. First item in our old business is item A, which is a $500,000 loan out of home funds for the Tyndall Heights project. And I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize a loan in the amount of $500,000 in home funds to assist Infill Housing II Incorporated in developing the proposed low-income multifamily housing tax credit development on the former Tyndall Heights site to be known as Tyndall Fields II, located at 985 Plant Street in Macon-Bibb County, Georgia, to be secured by a deed to secure debt conveying said property and for other purposes.
The Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Next is item B, which is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Schneider Electric for energy and security audit on various county-owned buildings, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Schneider Electric Buildings Americas, Inc. in the amount of either $0 or $162,500 payable out of the general fund, if necessary, for the completion of a comprehensive investment-grade audit of energy and resource consumption and uses at Macon-Bibb county-owned buildings, streetlight systems, and other facilities and utility systems, and for other lawful purposes.
There was an inquiry at the pre-commission about what in the world does it mean, zero or $162,500. That was discussed in committee meetings, but for really the benefit of the audience, I've asked the county attorney to kind of give us a thumbnail sketch of how in the world it could be either zero or $162,500.
Yes, if we do any of the, if they perform the consulting work and recommend different methods for saving money, if we do any of the projects, then we'll owe zero for the consulting work.
And we understand that there are several projects we know we're going to do. We need to replace air conditioning units at the Coliseum, auditorium, and things like that we know are going to be part of the recommendations. So we're confident that it's going to be zero in consulting fees. We just got to pay for the work itself. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Wynn, anything further from you?
No, Mr. Mayor, you pretty much covered what I was going to ask for clarification on. Thank you.
Okay. Is there further discussion? Mr. Jones, that's you?
Let me add that to this, Rob Riles, our Director of Facilities Management, has already met with these folks and kind of reiterating, but they've identified many projects that need to be done. So again, if we even do one project, which is all but guaranteed, we'll owe them nothing for the consulting.
Right, and there was a committee amendment that recommended we use splost funds wherever appropriate in performance of the projects. And so this is the committee amendment that we're voting on. Is there further discussion? If not, all in favor of the resolution as amended signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution as amended is adopted. That brings us to item C, which is the extension of the Land Bank Authority contract, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to approve and authorize the mayor to execute the Second Amendment to the agreement dated December 29, 2015, between Macon-Bibb County and the Macon-Bibb County Land Bank Authority for acquisition, holding, maintenance, and disposition of properties related to the Macon-Bibb County Neighborhood Revitalization and Blight Remediation Project and other lawful purposes.
Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? If not, I will add that I had word today that the 4 blighted houses on Walnut Street near the intersection of Madison are under demolition today, and that's work being done by the Blight Program that the Land Bank Authority was instrumental in acquiring title to those properties for us. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Next is a resolution to approve the 18th Amendment to the timeline, the 2018 SPLOST project timeline, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to approve the 18th Amendment to the 2018 SPLOST project timeline and budget as presented by the SPLOST project manager and for other lawful purposes.
After consideration of the next several items on the agenda that are affected by the timeline amendment, the Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion about the resolution to make the timeline amendments? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. That brings us to item E, which is an ordinance to move money forward for the East Macon Recreation Center, also known as now as the Dolores Brooks Recreation Center, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
An ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission approving and authorizing the appropriation of $350,000 from the 2017 SPLOST bond proceeds and or 2018 SPLOST revenues from calendar year 2018 Parks and Recreation East Macon Recreation line item, also known as the Dolores A. Brooks Recreation Center, as set forth in the SPLOST project timeline to cover construction and renovations to the center and for other lawful purposes.
Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the ordinance signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the ordinance is adopted. Next then is a resolution now to authorize the mayor to enter into a contract with Warren Associates for $1,149,000 for the work at Dolores A. Brooks Community Center, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize the mayor to execute a contract between Macon-Bibb County and Warren Associates, Inc. in the amount of $1,149,000 for the renovations of the Dolores A. Brooks Community Center to be paid by SPLOST bond proceeds and/or SPLOST revenues and for other lawful purposes.
Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Next is a resolution concerning professional services for the design of the Smart Park project, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize the mayor to execute a professional service contract for the Linwood Avenue Smart Park project with Travis Pruitt and Associates, Inc. in the amount of $87,500 to be paid from SPLOST revenues and/or SPLOST bond proceeds and for other lawful purposes.
The Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Schlesinger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a project that's been a long time coming, and we're still not quite there yet, but we're well on the way with the allocation of these funds. If you look at the TV screen, you see a plan for the Smart Park. This is really the vision of the Smart Neighborhood Association with your South Macon Arts Revitalization Technology. It's on Linmore Avenue, which is in the heart of South Macon, across from Unionville Baptist Church. We've already taken down 7 dilapidated structures on that property, and we're going to create what you see before you on the television screen. So I just want to tell the people from SMART who are here, congratulations, appreciate the vision, appreciate your persistence. Hasn't come easy, hasn't come fast, but it's coming.
Thank you, Miss. Thank good things come to those who wait. Isn't that biblical somewhere, somehow, I think? Commissioner Wynn, I got you next.
Again, Mr. Mayor, Commissioner Schlesinger answered the question of what SMART stood for, because I had asked that question in a committee meeting, so now we understand that. We weren't sure when I asked that last time. We weren't sure.
That's right, and this is a smart thing to do. We can all say that, that's for sure. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Next is an appointment or a reappointment to the Land Bank Authority, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to reappoint Tom Ellington to the Macon-Bibb County Land Bank Authority and for other lawful purposes.
Economic and Community Development Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, Mayor Pro Tem, got you all light on.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, and thank you. I just want to say, just commend former council member Tom Ellington. He has proven that you don't have to serve or be a commissioner or city council person to stay involved. And I can say ever since day one of this new consolidated government, you have seen him active and staying involved. And he's one of a few that we see continuously staying active and involved. And I appreciate that, because I used to call on him so much when he was down here in these chairs and seats. And to see him continuing to stay involved is a true example of those that's out there serving, to say that you don't have to be an elected official. And it was proven even yesterday in accountability court of seeing Shanita Davis receive an award as well for continuing to be involved in the community and not being an elected official. So I would just say that community leaders come in all forms, and a lot of folks on the move. And so, Dr. Ellington, continue. We appreciate you.
Well, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. And I'll add to that, Dr. Ellington, thank you very much for your continued service on the Land Bank Authority. We appreciate that, and the Pedestrian Safety Review Board, and everything else that you find time to do. We appreciate what you do for us. Next is a new appointment to the Land Bank Authority, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to appoint Gary Bechtel to the Macon-Bibb County Land Bank Authority and for other lawful purposes.
Economic and Community Development Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Next is a resolution to approve some software purchases for our solid waste billing. And I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize the execution of a letter of authorization with Manatron, Inc., a Thomas Reuters business, in the amount of $73,000 for professional services to adjust billing software for quarterly billing of solid waste fees to be paid by solid waste budget funds and for other lawful purposes.
Committee of the Whole recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Mr. Commissioner, thank you, sir, for undertaking this task. We appreciate your continuing help and assistance with all that and all the other things that you do down there. Next is a resolution to enter into a consulting contract with ANCO for pension plan advice, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize and approve the selection of and entering into an agreement with ANCO Consulting to serve as the 401A Defined Contribution Pension Plan and 457B Deferred Compensation Plan Consultant in the amount of $45,000 per year for years 1 through 3 and for other lawful purposes.
Committee of the Whole recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. And next is an ordinance to actually appropriate the money to pay to ANCO for what we just agreed to do. So I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
An ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to approve a supplemental appropriation for the transfer of $45,000 from fund balance in the FY19 budget to professional services contract consultant for the 401A Defined Contribution Pension Plan and 457B Deferred Compensation Plan to be established for new Macon-Bibb County employees and for other lawful purposes.
Committee of the Whole recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the ordinance signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the ordinance is adopted. Next is an item of new business that was considered earlier at Committee of the Whole, which regards settling a lawsuit down at the Sheriff's Office, and we'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing settlement in the total amount of $6,000 for any and all claims, demands, or damages against Macon-Bibb County arising out of or connected in any way to Christopher M. Collins versus Macon-Bibb County, Bibb County Sheriff David Davis et al., civil action number 87397, pending in the State Court of Bibb County, State of Georgia, and for other lawful purposes.
Committee of the Whole recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Next is a resolution to approve some change orders to the construction of Fillmore Thomas Park Phase 2, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to approve and authorize 3 change orders in the amount of $46,947.25 to the construction contract with WLS Construction Incorporated and additional engineering redesign fees in the amount of $3,100 for the completion of the Fillmore Thomas Park Phase 2 project, with said $50,047.25 in total cost to be paid from SPLOST bond proceeds, revenues, calendar year 2018 blight remediation, blight bond number 2 line item, and for other lawful purposes.
Committee of the Whole recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Next is an ordinance to approve the entire amount for the Fillmore Thomas Park, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
An ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission approving and authorizing the appropriation of up to $261,751 from SPLOST bond proceeds or SPLOST revenues from 2018 blight remediation, blight bond number 2 line item, as set forth in the SPLOST project timeline to cover construction and renovations to Fillmore Thomas Park Phase 2, West Macon, and any other blight remediation projects and for other lawful purposes.
Committee of the Whole recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the ordinance signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the ordinance is adopted. That's the end of old business, and that brings us now to new business. And there are several items of new business that will be read and referred to committee. However, let me take this opportunity to say that our next meeting, which would have been on December the 25th, the committee meeting, has been canceled. We will not be meeting on December the 25th. The next meeting will be a nighttime meeting on January the 2nd, which is a Wednesday night. It's not Tuesday night, because Tuesday night is January the 1st. So the next time we will meet will be a nighttime meeting on January the 2nd. These items that are being referred will be referred to and taken up by the committees at January the 8th at their regular meeting on Tuesday, January the 8th, beginning at 9 o'clock in the morning. There may very well be additional items, however, that come down between now and the time the agenda goes out for those committee meetings. So be sure and check your agenda that is published, would that be on the 4th? Is that right? Friday the 4th? Friday the 4th of January. That'll be when the agenda is published, and there may be some additional items to these that I'm fixing to read to you that we'll take up at committee meetings on the 8th. First item of new business is a resolution to request the internal auditor to conduct an animal enforcement and animal welfare audit from September the 1st, 2017 through December the 1st, 2018. I'm going to refer that to the Public Safety Committee. Item B of new business is an appointment to the Macon-Bibb County Planning and Zoning Commission to appoint Josh Rogers to come on. Kamal Azar is rotating off, has reached the end of his term, so this is a new appointment for Josh Rogers. I'm going to refer that to the Economic and Community Development Committee. Item C is a resolution to approve the mayor's reappointment of a number of people to the Macon-Bibb County Pension Plan, including Bud Fletcher, Commissioner Mallory Jones, Commissioner Elaine Lucas, Karen Collier, Christy Ilucci, Captain Chris Patterson, and Jimmy Allen to the Pension Trustee Board. I'm going to refer that to the Economic and Community Development Committee. Item D is a resolution to authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with Home First Housing Resources to provide housing counseling services with funding provided by the CDBG, Community Development Block Grant Funds, in the amount of $68,152. I'm going to refer that to the Operations and Finance Committee. Item E is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Middle Georgia Outdoor Lighting Incorporated in the amount of $107,470 for services related to the installation of Musco lighting equipment at Freedom Park to be paid from SPLOST bond proceeds or SPLOST revenues. I'm going to refer that to the Operations and Finance Committee. Item F is a resolution authorizing the tax commissioner to utilize the proposed subsequent sale process with regard to real property that fails to sell when originally presented at tax sales. I'm going to refer that to the Committee of the Whole. And item G is a resolution to authorize the mayor to execute a memorandum of understanding between Newtown Macon, Inc. and Macon-Bibb County, Georgia, to provide that Newtown shall assume responsibility for maintaining and operating the Main Street Macon program at a cost of $20,000 each fiscal year beginning FY 2020. I'm going to refer that to the Operations and Finance Committee. Again, there may be other items of new business that come down between now and Friday the 4th, so be sure and check the agendas when they're published. That brings us now to the final item on our agenda, which is public comments on non-agenda items, and we have two people that wish to talk to us tonight. The first is Mike Ryan, who wants to talk to us about safety. Mr. Ryan, thank you very much for your patience and for being here with us tonight. You are recognized for 5 minutes, sir.
Is my time started?
No, does right now.
Oh, right now, okay. Mike Ryan, Carling Avenue, Macon. A few words, observations stemming from yesterday's media event that was held here. That event was to celebrate the award of Governor's Office of Highway Safety that would go towards the education efforts of the Pedestrian Safety Board led by Ms. Pope. But there were some disturbing remarks and assumptions by you too, Mr. Mayor, yesterday. There seems to be an assumption that that pedestrians wouldn't have a problem if they just used the crosswalk. However, and that several people, yourself included, Mr. Mayor, commented on this, and the governor's representative here too. And you know, the most dangerous roads in this community are all under GDOT supervision. That means y'all as a group have to put pressure on them to address these issues on those roads. And just go out to Mercer University Drive or Eisenhower or any of the other Gray Highway. You know, you can walk a mile along the side of a road before you even get to a crosswalk, and it might not even be painted, right? So that's not a valid assumption to assume that that just putting in you walk to the crosswalk and everything will be okay. And there's also seems to be an assumption that the pedestrian brings it down on him or herself because they don't go about dressed up like they're out trick-or-treating or going on a Christmas parade, right? People wear normal dark clothes. I wear dark clothing, yeah. So that's an invalid assumption to assume that the pedestrian will be all right, and it must be his or her fault if he gets hit and he's not dressed up or lit up like a Christmas tree. So finally, I want to comment on something that happened just a few hours ago as I was out for a walk. And this is the real issue here. I was walking from my home to here. A lady in the opposite direction in a car passes me. She's doing this. Just like this, right? Right behind her is a Bibb County Sheriff's Department vehicle. Right behind her. But he didn't see that because he was doing this. All right? So here it is. All right? The law is not enforced. Law enforcement officers, part of their responsibility is to pay attention to their environment when they are on duty, actually anytime. He was not. and the lady, I mean, what she was doing, that is so common here as to be really depressing. So he's not enforcing the law because he's not even paying attention. And she's not learning the lesson that what she's doing is quite dangerous, not only to herself, but to anybody else on the road. She ain't getting the lesson because the police aren't teaching her that. So we need more enforcement. We need the law enforcement officials themselves to observe the laws that they are charged with executing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ron. We appreciate your comments and appreciate your service to the community and for you being here tonight. Next, Mr. Donald Richardson. Got some grassroots reflection. Mr. Richardson, it's always good to see you, sir, and especially this time of year. Season's greetings to you, and look forward to some of your grassroots reflections.
Thank you. The book of Isaiah, chapter 49. Listen, O isles, unto me, and hearken, ye people from far. The Lord has called me from the womb. From the bowels of my mother hath he made mention of my name. And he hath made my mouth like a sharp sword. In the shadow of his hand hath he hid me, and made me a polished shaft in his quiver hath he hid me. And he said unto me, Thou art my servant, O Israel, in whom I will be glorified. Then I said, I have labored in vain, I have spent my strength for naught, and in vain, and yet surely my judgment is with the Lord, and my work with my God. And now saith the Lord that formed me from the womb to be his servant, to bring Jacob again to him. And though Israel be not gathered, yet shall I be glorious in the eyes of the Lord, and my God shall be my strength. And he said, Is it a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob, and to restore the preserve of Israel? I will also give thee for a light to the Gentiles, that thou mayest be my salvation unto the end of the earth. And thus saith the Lord, the Redeemer of Israel, and his Holy One, to him whom man despises, to him whom the nations abhorreth, to a servant, to rulers, kings shall see and arise. Princes also shall worship, because of the Lord that is faithful, and the Holy One of Israel he shall choose thee. And thus saith the Lord, In an acceptable time have I heard thee, and in a day of salvation have I helped thee. And I will preserve thee, and give thee for a covenant to the people, to establish the earth, to cause to inherit the desolate heritage, that thou mayest say to the prisoners, Go forth; to them that are in darkness, show yourselves. And they shall feed in the ways, and their pastures shall be in all high places. They shall not hunger nor thirst, and neither shall the heat nor sun smite them. For he that hath mercy on them shall lead them, and even by the springs of water shall he guide them. And I will make all my mountains a way, and my highways shall be exalted. Behold, these shall come from far, and lo, these from the north and from the west, and these from the land of Sinim. Sing, O heavens, and be joyful, O earth, and break forth into singing, O mountains, for the Lord hath comforted his people, and will have mercy upon his afflicted. But Zion said, The Lord hath forsaken me, and my Lord hath forgotten me. Can a woman forget her suckling child, that she should not have compassion on the son of her womb? Yea, they may forget, yet will I not forget thee. Behold, I have graven thee upon the palms of my hand, and thy walls are continually before me. Thy children shall make haste, and thy destroyers and they that made thee waste shall go forth to thee. Lift up thine eyes round about, and behold, and all these gather themselves together and come to thee. As I live, saith the Lord, thou shalt surely clothe thee with them all, as with an ornament, and bind them on thee as a bride doeth. For thy waste in thy desolate places, in the land of thy destruction, shall even now be too narrow by reason of the inhabitants, and they that swallow thee up shall be far away. The children which thou shalt have after thou hast lost the other shall say again in thine ears, The place is too strait for me, give place to me, that I may dwell. And then shalt thou say in thy heart, Who hath begotten me thee, seeing I have lost my children, and am desolate, a captain, and removing to and fro? And who hath brought up these? Behold, I was left alone, and these where had they been?
Mr. Richardson, thank you very much, sir, for coming to be with us tonight and for sharing that passage with us. We appreciate your insight very much.
Thank you.
Season's greetings to you, sir. Mayor Pro Tem has requested a point of personal privilege. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To all our staff and commissioners, first of all, let me thank you. It was so rewarding to walk in the office and see a beautiful Christmas card from Valerie Wynn. Thank you. This has been a year that I think and I hope more commissioners have come together. We've seen so many folks show up at at meetings and get involved and pay close attention. And I just want to thank them, our entire staff. 2018 has been a good year, and I think and hope that as we transition into 2019, because that's be our next meeting, we'll see you in 2019, that we continue to grow as a commission and a community and stay engaged. Hopefully on Friday morning at 9 o'clock, we'll see all of you all there as we dedicate the newest fire station and sheriff precinct to Commissioner Bibbins. Please note that we love you and we care for you and we respect you and hope that you'll continue to stay involved. Happy New Year to each and every one of you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Well said. And as Mayor Pro Tem pointed out, there's no meeting next week. We've canceled the meeting for December the 25th, and the meeting for the following Tuesday, which would have been on New Year's Day, January the 1st, we have moved that forward one day. So Wednesday, January the 2nd, will be our next meeting, and it'll be a nighttime meeting here. 5 o'clock pre-commission meeting, 6 o'clock there. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and happy New Year, ladies and gentlemen. With that, we are adjourned.